Hello, I'm Phil Little, your host on the Private Investigator Experience. We're doing a podcast every week with my son, Wade Little, is my co host. And I've been getting questions about events that are going on around the world and what might be affecting us and could affect us in our own communities. So I'm starting to do a little weekend wrap up, just touching on one or two of the highlights. And every week we'll try to keep you up to date on what is going on. First, I want you to know a little about me. I come from a biblical background. That's my biblical worldview. This is not a religious or political show, and I'm what one would call a conservative. And I'm a very proud American, former military and law enforcement, and I believe in the freedom of America, and we are the most blessed country in the world. Um, I believe that the leaders of both parties have added to the development of a wide chasm in American politics. I long for the time when I could talk to my Democratic friends and we could share views and learn from each other. And I found that in our core values, we were really on the same page, even though we might have a different idea of how to arrive at some of those goals. But we could talk about it. We could learn from each other. Those times are gone, unfortunately, with the Democratic Party being hijacked by a small group of radicals. As I speak to groups today, I'm asked by people, how should I vote? How do I know who to vote for? And my response is, no, you should not vote for a candidate just because they're part of your party. But you want to find out what they believe. What is their position on the Constitution? Do they believe it's still valid as written today? What is their position on free speech and basic Ten Commandment values of life? For if we lose our free speech, then our freedom of religion, gun ownership, and the freedom to make our own decisions in life will also be gone. Now, over the years, I did vote for a candidate from the other party when they had these values over the candidate from my party. So now that you know a little bit about me, let's look at this week. I learned some things this week. Yes, I'm not too old to learn. How about you? Were you aware that the Supreme Court decision of almost a year ago in the favor of Gerald Goff, who was a postal worker who had asked to have his Sundays off for religious views on his Sabbath day, and he wasn't supposed to work? Well, they refused him based on what was called the Lemon Law test at that time, which meant that all they needed was a minor situation to say, no, we can't afford to have you off. Well, the Supreme Court overturned that and found in this postal worker's favor, and they made it where that the employer had to accommodate, based on the Constitution and our freedoms, that they would accommodate their religious position. Now, this decision represents all companies in the United States with over 15 employees. Why is this good? How does this decision affect you and me, maybe, and in our uh, security situation? Well, one, Constitution is being followed by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is our one barrier between an overreaching secular government. And this is a sign that the Supreme Court is going to stand up against our freedoms being taken away and giving criminals more freedoms than we as citizens have, which adds to the crime situation in our communities. Sometimes the press has not reported on the Supreme Court decisions, and they've not reported on this. Part of this ruling by the Supreme Court overturned the Lemon decision, which meant that they could have just a flimsy reason for not accommodating. That is gone. Also, the Lemon decision overturned the part of it that it made it virtually impossible to have any spiritual things such as the Ten Commandments, prayer in schools, a Christmas trees or a cross, nativity scene. That law, the Lemon Law, which was applied to keep those things from happening has been overturned. There's over 7,000 ordinances across the country that are now unconstitutional based on this. And it's up to the citizens in each community now to go get those turned around then and start posting their religious freedoms in these nativity scenes or crosses or Ten Commandments. And the state of Texas has enacted a law which will bring prayer back to the schools and also our basic religious freedoms. Well, you might say, I don't believe in God. So how can this help me? How's it going to help me? Well, if we elect people that believe in the Constitution, free speech, freedom of religion, and they then appoint judges who also follow the Constitution, we will have enforcement of laws that put criminals off the street, not immediately back on the street. Also, those we elect will be sure that the police are funded and that crime prevention goes up. Crime prevention goes up. And then crime committed go down if we have a stronger prevention. Remember this, even though you might not believe in God, the Bible says that when the righteous are in power, the people don't have to fear the government. Because the righteous are going to make the decision, you don't have to believe in God. You don't have to have a religion. And you're not going to be punished for that. So that protects everyone, not just those who believe in God. I have to believe, even if you don't believe in God, you want freedom, security, safe opportunities for your children and your family. So your part also is to know the candidates and to check out what they believe before you vote. This is not a duty that you or I can pass on to someone else. We each have a vote. Now, in the old communist country days and the dictator countries I've heard out around the world, they have made the statement, and I don't think really in jest, because they said, oh, it's not the people that vote to make the difference. It's those who count the votes that make a difference. Does that sound familiar? Well, if we let one step of our rights being infringed on, there will soon be more. My week's takeaway then is if we elect people who will protect constitutional rights, appoint the right judges, and support the police and crime prevention, we will be safer. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the things we need to be aware of. And I wish I had more time today to cover a lot more, but next week I'll bring another situation to you that you can become aware of. So until next time, be safe, may God bless you, and may God bless America.